All right. Looks like we got a crazy topic today. And let me tell y'all, I'm a bit of a finance nerd myself, right? If you already read the title, you know where this is going. But yeah, I always interested in finances because it's something that people aren't really taught very well, and you have to kind of learn it on your own. And even right now, I'm reading a book called The Stock Market for Dummies because there's nothing that you cannot learn. Regardless of how much money you put out there, you can always learn something new, especially when it comes to finances. Because whenever you make money, it's always going to be exponential. So you want to get that big hit. Well, not always, but it's usually exponential, not linear. And so, yeah, you know me, always trying to get that next, get that going. But today we're going to talk about a very different kind of investment, one that people have been very iffy on, and well, it has opinion changes about it over the years. Sometimes it peaks really high, and sometimes it's dead in the water, like now. But essentially, we're going to talk about cryptocurrencies, but not just any cryptocurrency. This one is going to be very particular, and the one I'm referring to is the owner, or the old owner anyway, of FTX, Sam Bankman-Fried, has been convicted on all charges, and he faces up to 110 years in prison. Now, I'm just going to clarify this right now. He faces up to 110. Does not mean he's going to face all 110 years. If I had to guess, usually how the courts work is that you will get a maximum sentence, and then you can kind of beat it down and serve less time from there. But the 110 just means that that is the highest it can go, not what the sentence is. And of course, it will be carried out I believe in March of 2024 when it gets started. But yeah, that's essentially the big news for today. But before we really go into this trial and like how much of an impact it has, I actually want to talk a little bit about FTX itself, like where we're coming from, just to give you guys a bit of a gateway into this whole, investigation or whatever, this whole case. And then we'll go from there. So starting off, so FTX actually opened up in 2019, of course, by Sam Bankman-Fried. And what actually happened is that it hit 32 billion worth. It was worth 32 billion in January of 2022. So everybody who ever put money into this, of course, they would get the benefits. And of course, that's when FTX was going strong. They had many different partnerships. And when I tell you, like, lots of people invested into FTX, I mean, not just your average person. I'm talking like celebrities and influencers and all that. All of them would either like announce a partnership with FTX or whatever organization it was. They would be like sponsored or whatever, and then tie it all together. And here I'm just going to be scrolling as I'm talking. I'm just going to scroll you how many people actually were a part of this. So this was not just some small like operation. This was a very, I don't say global, but it was very big stuff. And of course, in November of 2022, FTX crashed. And when I mean crashed, I mean just take a look at this graph right here. It crashed hard, as is the story with a lot of pump and dump schemes. Though this one's a little bit bigger than just regular pump and dumps with influencers. But regardless, you can see the drop off here, and it is insane to look at. I mean, like, wow. It is just, whew. And basically, FTX, the coin itself, is dead in the water. And that's where we stand there. Now, we're going to talk about the timeline a bit of FTX and see what exactly happened there. And so we're going to look here. It says, so November 6th, rival exchange Binance sells all its FTT tokens. Then November 7th, FTX announces liquidity crisis and it seeks a bailout from venture capitalists, then Binance. So then, on November 8th, Binance says it will buy FTX's non-US business. And then November 9th, Binance walks away from FTX acquisition after conducting due diligence. And then November 10th, the Bahamas freezes assets of FTX's subsidiaries. Their Bankman-Fried admits non-US businesses liquidity crisis, says affiliate Alameda Research to wind down. And on November 11th, Sam, of course, steps down as FTX CEO, is replaced by a court-appointed CEO with restructuring experience. FTX files for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection. And on November 12th, FTX reports an alleged hack suspected to be up to $477 million and moves its digital assets to cold storage for security reasons. And then on November 18th, the Bahamas takes control of FTX assets and held it there. And then on December 12th, Bankman-Fried is arrested by Bahamian authorities. He's later extradited to the US. And December 22nd, Bankman-Fried is released on a $250 million bond, the largest in history, by a federal judge. All right. And that's essentially the background on what we have here for this case. It's a lot of information. I tried to just summarize it all down because there's a lot of little like pile-ons. There's not pile-ons. I mean like little stuff that adds on to this, but that's essentially the summary here on the case. So as you can see, he's been around. He literally got out on a $250 million bond, which is very massive. But then, of course, now as of, well, this is recorded on the 4th, on the, I believe the 2nd, on the night of the 2nd or the 3rd of November, that's when all the charges came in. And so I'm just going to go pull up a quick article on the situation, and then we'll proceed. Now I'm going to take a little piece from the Washington Post to talk about the charges that Sam has been charged with. And so I'm just going to read this here. And says, the decision was reached after less than 5 hours of deliberation by a jury of 9 women and 3 men who found Bankman-Fried guilty on all charges. 2 counts of wire fraud, 4 counts of conspiracy to commit fraud, and 1 count of conspiracy to commit money laundering. He could be sentenced to decades in prison. Sentencing is scheduled for March 28th. So as I said previously at the beginning of the video, the sentence that was going around that I saw from multiple different sources was 110 years is the maximum. Like I said, he won't actually serve all of that, but that is the stuff. And now I'm actually going to take a bit of a different turn, and I'm going to pull out an interview actually that was done by Tiffany Fong, who was also covering Sam at the, well, not just Sam, but covering this story. And she got an interview of him under house arrest. And after that, there was, of course, he shared what he feels how he feels on facing life in prison. So I'm just going to play some of it for you. I'm going to link the full interview. It's only 2.5 minutes, but here's a little snippet of how he feels.
Try not to think about it. I don't think it's helpful to think about it. And when I do ruminate, I tend to focus even in my ruminations on like what the what the pathways I'll have are, and what the like my ruminations are half ruminations, half daydreams, and they always have some component of like ways that I can make things, better, ways that I can do something for the world, ways that I can like have some impact.
Well, Sam, you have plenty of time to go over your ruminations in prison because you did make a big impact, actually. I can tell you what you impacted. You impacted people's wallets. You impacted some high-tier investors' wallets. You impacted organizations. You impacted a whole market. And you impacted people's own cryptocurrencies, especially the average people. So, yeah, you got lots to ruminate about. Now, of course, if you watch the full interview, you actually hear that he has some regrets, or at least he sounds like he does have like some life regrets and all that he had. And it definitely makes him sound more human. But this is where my humanity for him stops, because he did so much damage that, basically everybody lost. Everyone lost in this one. So whenever you scam people and then you have the whole idea that you're going to try to give it back, but you don't, that's where you lose me. There's no ifs, ands, or buts on that one. There's just, how do you justify that to people who lost their money? You kind of don't. And I want to ask you guys to understand is that I want you to go look up, if you have the chance, look up people who put money into these pump and dumps, like these schemes, and then you realize that some people, they put their life savings into it, or they take a huge chunk of money they could have put into whatever. And of course, what people do with their money is their business, but understand that sometimes when you see a big investment and you have influencers and big organizations going in on this, it'll give people the idea that, okay, maybe if I take a chance at this, or I take a stab at it myself, then maybe I can make some money off of it. And then I can go and, provide for my family or whatever, or, reach some sense of financial security. And then that gets taken from you. So don't have to say what kind of thoughts go into people's heads when that kind of happens, but I'm gonna put it for you guys to put it together. And so this is why I don't feel bad for Sam at all, despite that he has regrets. There's just no sympathy on my end. And the thing too is that, in a way, you want to like introduce alternative ways for people to help make money, or just to put other investment stuff like traditional stocks and all that, because not everything is reliable, nothing's 100% secure. So you want to have different avenues on how you can make yourself happier, get some security. And so, not saying that crypto was one of them, but maybe it could have. I don't know. I'm not a mind reader. I don't see into the future, but perhaps that could have been possible. But when you have scandals like these, this is what really turns people off to this kind of stuff. And mostly, even for me, when I like follow stories extensively like this, it's just like, wow. If this guy wasn't, a fraud, he could have actually maybe done something good. Who knows? But anyways, I will say though, it is kind of ironic that his name's like Sam Bankman Fried, but you could actually rephrase it to Sam the Bankman Fraud if you reword and put some letters around. I don't know where I got that from, but woof. It's really ironic. His whole name could be turned into like fraud. It's almost like the universe saw it coming and no one else really could, like, I don't know, attest it, detest it, whatever the word is. Whew. Wow. No, but this is a crazy conclusion to this whole entire, like, not saga, but this whole journey of FTX, starting in 2019 and ending in 2023 with their CEO facing up to 110 years in prison, and the fact that it did not even take the jury that long to be like, yep, this guy is guilty on all accounts, which is insane. But actually, I don't know how long it took them. I think it took about a month, if I'm not mistaken, but correct me if I'm wrong on that one. But regardless, despite how swift the hammer came on Sam, whew, wow. And this is what happens really when you mess with like some of the highest people who have money. They're not gonna play with that stuff, especially with all like the false promises that you put out there. And once people, there's like a few things that you don't mess with people. You don't mess with like their family, their money, and their pets. I swear that holy triangle is how you lose people and how you just don't. So yeah, don't play with money. Don't play with anybody's money, guys. And this should also set an example as well to all the future scammers who are doing rug pulls. Logan Paul, save the kids. Sorry, I had to clear my throat for a second. Yeah, this should really set a precedent that, yeah, maybe scamming is not a good idea. Committing fraud and stealing millions of dollars, sorry, not millions, billions of dollars is not a good idea. But yeah, Sam really got what he deserved. I don't feel bad for this piece of garbage. He went around stealing money. He's gonna go run around and sit in a prison and ruminate. So yeah, you got plenty of time to think to yourself and think about what you've done, Sam. I'm proud of you though. You at least you have some remorse, but some remorse is not going to give back billions of dollars stolen. And no, that's actually it. I know I haven't like. My YouTube hasn't been up that long and I haven't really been covering this particular story, but I just felt like it was so big and so, I don't know, it was really something I wanted to go over because it's like it had a lot of effects and it's something that, a lot of people were affected by. Even those who didn't put money into it were infected in some way. And yeah. So, if you enjoyed this video and you like my news coverage on big topics, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and follow my socials down in the description below. And of course, if you want to dislike it, go ahead. You're free to do whatever you want with your mouse. But with all of that, and I need 110 years of probably some sanity pills or something. That was terrible. All right, we're shutting this down. Later.